Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Ruminations of Redrum. I'm your host, Kyle, with a K. And today we have some very special guests. But first, I want to introduce the mean metal machine, the guru of goth, my bookhouse boy, Mitch. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you, man. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. I'm glad to be here, man.
I'm glad to have you. It's very accurate, by the way, that description. So I just had to.
Those were
had to
some
throw
good
it out
ones. I
there.
like the monikers, man. I hope you don't mind. I'm going to steal those and put them on the website.
You should. You should. I'd be honored. And how are you doing today?
Not bad, man. I've got a little bit of rasp going on in my throat, so I'm going to fight through it. So sorry if that interferes, but I'm doing good, man. I'm excited to talk about this movie with you guys.
Today I have two special guests other than Mitch. They're actually hosts of another cast in the Ruminations radio network. Brevity Box is the name of their podcast. It's an awesome show. If you haven't listened to it yet, you should go check it out. Triple C and Brando are in the house tonight. Triple C, Brando, how you doing?
Hey, Brando. How you doing, Brando?
Pretty
We're
good. How about
special.
yourself?
If you haven't heard our show, you should go listen. You give good advice.
I do. That's the only kind of advice I give is the good advice.
Seems like it, man. That's good advice. No, it's cool to be on the show, man. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, we've talked a lot in the Discord chat and things like that, and we've gotten to know each other that way. We're all kind of friends through Mitch, but this is your first time on my show. I've been on your show, and that was a blast.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and Brandon, how you doing?
I am doing all right. I'm happy to be here. And this was a pretty great movie to break my ruminations of Redrum cherry.
I'm excited.
Sexy.
Yeah. I'm excited. Ugh. All right, so just right off the bat, I got to break you guys in a little bit. We'll start with Triple C. What's your furthest memory going back for your introduction to horror?
Wow. Furthest memory. I want to say it was the original Friday the 13th, but I was a little kid and it's just scared the crap out of me. And my older sister, made that a routine. So I think anytime any of the classic horror movies that came out when I was a little kid and easily shaken and frightened, she took me to see it in some way. So I saw Friday the 13th, I think was the first super scary movie that freaked me out.
Have you kept up with them throughout the years, like the mini sequels they've made? Or
I think they lost me in the 90s. That's basically what I would say.
Did you
And
even
then every
make it
now
to
and then
Jason
I
in
would
Space?
catch them.
yeah,
right.
Say, you never got to Jason in Space?
I never got to Jason in Space.
I bought them all on iTunes this past October. They had a smoking deal, and I got them all. And God, some of them are so bad.
Yeah, they always go on sale like every Friday the 13th, and like on Xbox Place, like all like those those places, they always have them super cheap. So, but okay. And then what's one of your favorite horror properties?
Oh man, it's hard for me not to go Nightmare on Elm Street just because I have this. I don't know if that was at a time, that series and those sequels, I knew they were campy and I just loved the character of Freddy Krueger.
Mhm.
I think if we're talking horror franchise, I'm going to go for the low hanging fruit and say Freddy and Nightmare on Elm Street. And I think it started, I think it may have to do with special effects, because one of my wow moments in a movie was seeing Johnny Depp get pulled into the bed.
Yeah.
That scene just, I think that is when I became attached. And I mean, maybe I know the rest of the movies don't have anything to do with that, but I was so ready to see those scenes. And I think there was one in Friday the 13th where these two young kids are about to get it on, and she's topless, and then like a machete just slowly comes out from behind and inside her chest. Those like kinds of scenes stuck with me. But Johnny Depp getting sucked in the bed, Freddy Krueger, the glove, it's that's the one.
That's a good one, man. Yeah, I mean, you can't go wrong with like the greats and the legends. I mean, they're like that for a reason. We stand on like the shoulders of titans. You know what I mean? And those movies they still hold up to this day for a reason. That's a good pick. That's a good pick.
I mean,
And
we're talking franchise, right? There were other movies
sure.
that caught my attention for sure, but that if I had to pick one with many, it would be that Nightmare on Elm Street.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. Brando, furthest memory going back for your introduction to horror.
My Aunt Sherry used to take my sister and I to see horror movies or rent them for us when we were inappropriately young. So she's the reason why Poltergeist traumatized me as a child.
Generational good parenting.
Good old
Poltergeist was
Aunt
great.
Sherry.
Yeah.
hmm
Okay.
As for my favorite franchise, I don't really know if I have one, but I did enjoy the hell out of those first two Insidious movies.
Oh yeah, those are good.
Mhm.
I like those.
You know, huge fan of Rose Byrne. She's
Yeah,
she's a talented actress, cute accent, and until at least until they revealed that Darth Maul was the bad guy in Insidious 1, it did a pretty good job creeping you the hell out and keeping you on edge.
And an interesting cross franchise move.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
really.
I must have missed that. That must have been Ryan Johnson's doing?
Most likely, yes.
Okay, because I wasn't sure.
yeah, that was the first Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness crossover. Actually, it was a
That's
prequel
hilarious.
to what's happening. So, okay, awesome. So today we're talking about Ready or Not. Let's get into the logistics, people. This movie, the budget was only $6 million and made domestically $28
What?
million.
Awesome.
That's insane.
It's a good return, $6 million.
I
I would
wonder
have
how
thought
much it
renting
co-
the
Go ahead, Mitch.
Go
I
ahead.
apologize.
no, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I wonder how much it cost him to fill the exterior shots at Billy Madison's house.
Oh, you stole one of my cool little trivia things, you son of a bitch. But yeah, it was actually the same mansion they used in Billy Madison.
and
Oh, man.
and Professor X's School for Gifted Children for the interior shots.
I did not know that. Interesting.
Wow.
I was
Okay.
convinced it was the house from Eyes Wide Shut, and they're just all like games. I just really felt like this was in the same ballpark.
Again, this is a prequel to that as well. Actually, I guess it would be a sequel, but I'm just kidding. But yeah, it had a pretty good return. It's directed by Matt Bettinelli Open and Tyler Gillette. So it was co-directors. Something I found out through kind of looking around on this is that they actually directed a segment in a horror movie called VHS, which
Mhm.
I'm a big fan of.
It's an anthology movie, right?
It is an anthology movie. Yeah, it came out in 2012, and I discovered it later, like probably like 3-4 years ago. But it's a great film, and they co-direct one of the films in that, and it's really cool. And it's kind of like the same. Actually, I don't want to spoil it, but it has to do with satanic worship a little bit. I'll just say that.
Hot.
And then they also co-directed another kind of film in another anthology movie called Southbound. And that movie is really great as well. For all the horror fans listening, you should check that out if you haven't. It's another, like, if you like anthology films, VHS is up there, like top tier. It's really good shit. And Southbound is great as well. They co-directed one in there, and that came out in 2015. And now they, I believe, are co-directing Scream 2022.
That's what I heard. That sounds kind of cool.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm
Yeah.
just
What an
impressed.
audition tape
Yeah,
this
right?
movie is for that. That's going to be great.
So
Well,
what do you guys think about that?
I mean, I'm thrilled because a lot of the cast, from what I understand, were reluctant to come back until these guys sent them like personal notes and letters about how they were going to do Wes Craven proud, like, and how important that was to them to maintain like what Wes started. And then people started coming out of the woodwork and like, okay, we'll do it after talking to these guys personally. So that, I mean, to me, that speaks volumes.
And maybe after seeing this movie.
And yeah,
Yeah, right? Yeah, like kind of like you said, this had to have been like an audition tape for it.
yeah.
I mean, well, maybe even unintentionally, but still, now it's sort of with the kind of kinetic feel of some of those scenes in Ready or Not. It feels like like it'd be one of those people that if you sent that movie to me and said, "Do you think this guy could make Scream?" I'd be like, "Oh yeah,
Oh
for
yeah.
sure."
Yeah, the way the comedy and the horror and everything kind of interweave.
Man, yeah,
it's-
I'm ready to talk about that. I was so delighted. I was so delighted by so much of it. Like it
Yeah.
really it was one of the first movies that I think my wife and I have both sat down together to watch, and we didn't know what to expect. And it got to a point where I think it might have given us a bent to watch more horror together, right? Watch
So let's
horror together. Keep your
so
marriage happy.
let's jump into that then. So Triple C, what do you think of the movie?
Man, I was blown away, and I had a lot of thoughts. I'm a huge movie fan. I admittedly don't spend a ton of time watching horror movies, and it might be saying too much, but this movie made me feel like I've been missing out. And I don't know if that means that this is a lark of a movie that was like rare, but it was really fun. And am I wrong? I mean, is it an assumption of mine to think that that's Hugo Weaving's daughter?
Niece.
Niece.
Niece,
That's little
man.
Ted, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna get to that. Yeah, she's actually Thea in, or no, or yeah.
Okay, so I was
Thea
about to
in the
ask
new
that
Bill and Ted.
question too.
Yeah, yeah.
Look, I enjoyed her whole I don't know how to explain how she convinced me of this progression of this person. I have a lot of thoughts, and I don't want to take up. I want you to come back to me, but I felt like Alex was. I kept
Piece of
thinking of
shit.
Hugh Jackman. Oh yeah, terrible character. But
Okay.
the actor made me think of the way he acted with his eyes.
I can see that.
I kept seeing little shades of Hugh Jackman. The way that he would. I felt the acting was really top notch, good. The house amazing, cinematography amazing, timing for humor, fun, gory, uncomfortable, made you flinch. I found myself trying to tell her what to do. I also found myself sounding like an old man where I was like, I wouldn't do that. You know what I would do is I would rise the dumbwaiter up and get underneath it and then
I was
lower it
thinking
back.
the
You know,
exact
like,
same fucking thing.
yeah, right, exactly, right. But I think the cast was great. I think my wife didn't know. She goes, "Who is that?" And I said, "Multiplicity." That was my reference because I knew she would get it
Mine
right
was
away.
mine was Groundhog Day. You talk about the mom?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
Yeah,
give it
Groundhog
that
Day.
one.
Yeah,
Groundhog Day would have
mine
worked
was
too.
Groundhog Day. Yeah.
But no, it was man, I haven't had that much fun, and I think it was interesting for me because as I've gotten through a couple, being a movie fan, you start picking up on the symbolism, the story, the whole thing about it was a lot of fun for me. But I came out of that movie still thinking about it well after, in terms of all of the symbolism that at least maybe I'm totally blowing smoke up my own ass and thinking that there's symbolism where there isn't
Hey, if you're
any.
flexible enough to do it, man, do it.
And let
It
me ask
feels
you, what was your
nice.
favorite piece of symbolism?
I'm a romantic about Converse in movies.
Oh yeah, the
shit,
Chucks were
man.
the yellow
too.
Chucks
Yeah, me too.
were
Yeah,
a
me
great
too.
touch.
God
You
damn
know,
it, he's gonna get to it before I could.
I thought that to me was great. And then I mean, there's a lot, but the end scene of her in obviously spoiler alert, but look, the transformation of the person and I think is really embodied in the dress from
Mhm.
the beginning, or it's white and perfect, and
Mm.
all the way through with her having to tear pieces of herself off, and then at the end there's this blood-soaked gown and the Converse, and she took the cigarette case, and I mean, to me, it's great symbolism there at the end about a lot, and I was super satisfied with it,
That
and
must have
I
been the
mean,
most enjoyable cigarette of her life.
Oh yeah.
yeah. I mean, the humor too surprised me because I think humor is really difficult to do, and I can't. Obviously, I don't have any context, but I can't imagine having to find a way to deliver that in the middle of. I mean, how do you make how do you make a head with a spike through the mouth of it funny? I don't know, but I laughed when I saw it.
You have Adam Brody do it. That guy is great at that kind of
That was
humor. That was
great.
great.
I really enjoyed it, man. I could talk for a long time about every detail, and we can come back to it. But yeah, I mean, all the way down, especially I don't know why I don't see the father role, which I can look his name up really quickly.
Henry Cerny.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's actually the main bad guy in the first Mission Impossible.
That's how I know
exactly
him
what I
the
was going
most.
to
That's how I know him
Yeah.
too. Yeah, that's how I know him too.
I see that guy's face, and all I hear is Kittrick, right? So, but yeah, I thought it was so crazy and fun and sort of Jumanji-ish, like there was this craziness to it, and I was with her. I was there with her throughout the whole crazy part. I was throughout the whole thing. It was fun, man.
I second all that. Yeah. I mean, I think what stood out to me the most, which a lot of horror movies don't do well, in my opinion, is the relationship between like the main characters and the sub characters. Like the background. Like when you have like the main characters, they'll always cast either strong to relatively strong. And then the background characters or the secondary characters, like the rest of the family, can be so just like thrown away or just kind of there to be a backdrop to the main characters. And I think they all stood out so well. And I think the whole family itself was just, in a lot of ways, the main character. And I think that was the way the writing was.
Believable.
And believable. Yes, exactly. It was so believable, like the interactions and the relationships they had with each other, and just the banter, the family banter back and forth, where like, to me, it actually felt like a brother and sister arguing, or it felt like,
Yeah, no, it did. Brown-haired niece.
Like when you're at Thanksgiving and you're
exist.
Coke fiend, there's a Coke fiend in everybody's Thanksgiving, right? And there you got to
I
get them
love
under
the
control.
Coke fiend sister. She was so funny.
Hey, Brando.
Fitch was.
Oh no, we'll get into her. We'll get into her.
And for anyone that
Oh, and him. I mean him.
Yeah.
Sorry.
for anyone that didn't realize it, Emily the Cokehead, that's Mrs. McMurray from Letterkenny. Took me a long time to figure out where I knew her from.
Still haven't seen that show.
Great
Still
show.
haven't seen that show. Yeah. Hey, Brando. So, what are your thoughts on the movie?
I went into this movie. I've seen Samara Weaving in a few other things. She was in like 3 episodes of Ash vs. the Evil Dead that she killed it on. But I went into this expecting some mediocre take on Richard Connell's Most Dangerous Game short story, which is, kind of what it is. But I didn't expect it to be so well done in terms of the cast and how they interacted with each other, the really great cinematography, the gore done with almost all practical effects. And yeah, I mean, I think one of you said it earlier. This was a delightful movie. It was exactly what I wanted.
It really was. Yeah, the practical effects are cool. The kills, there was a couple cool kills that we'll talk about in like a moment.
And a couple things I did notice here. Again, going with the symbolism and whatnot. Did any of you catch what the maid was reading to those kids when they were trying to sleep?
I did not.
Paradise Lost.
What's the significance of that? Because I've never read it.
It's a book about Lucifer's fall from heaven.
Oh, okay. Well, then, yeah, it makes total sense.
Same thing,
He's the hero.
Mr.
It's, the story of his fall from heaven, the war in heaven. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No, I've heard of it actually.
Yeah.
And what was the name of the ghost, Mr. Bael?
It's escaping me.
Someone help me out here.
Yeah, hold on, check it out.
Make sure I have to edit this out.
I'll fix it. Lady Domas is their family name, right?
Okay, so yeah, LaBelle.
Mr.
That's how you
LaBelle.
pronounce it. But LaBelle's also an anagram for Belial.
Oh, nice. Nice. Did you figure that, or did you find that? That's hot.
I figured that out.
That is sexy.
Yeah,
That is way sexy.
He figured it out with a little tool called GOOGLE.
Interesting.
Duck,
Okay.
go. But moving on.
No, that's cool. That's cool. And
But it's at the same time, I also overthink things like this. Like, how many possible cards are there to draw? What are your chances of getting hide and seek? The one.
You just
bad
want to
one.
actually know what the total
I'm
number
just
of
curious.
games.
yeah,
Yeah, we know that they at least play Old Maid.
Well, but the cards are
What
blank.
even is Old Maid? The guy,
But the
he's
cards
like,
are blank, right? The cards are blank. They go in
Yes.
blank, and then they come back with something on it. So
True.
you
I
truly
think
could have infinite.
well,
You don't know how
you think
many.
that you think there'd be a limited number.
Yeah.
Like
I
for
think there
example,
is.
there's
Yeah.
let's use a basic deck of cards. You have a 1 in 52 chance of drawing whatever. So this is why I think Alex is a piece of shit. If he loves Grace that much, what sort of odds is he putting her into? Is it like 100 to 1 where you're going to get that hide and seek card and you can probably avoid it and go on with your life? Or are we talking like 1 in 10?
Well, I think that's kind of like the nail that his mom was trying to hit at the end
Yeah.
was that like he still believed it a little bit that like his family might all die
Mhm.
if he didn't do this. So it was kind of like a kind of balancing the risk situation. But yeah, I
This
mean, he
sort
is a piece
of
of shit, but
proposes the question: how many goats, did he have to kill to really get him to a point where he was like, maybe this is real?
3.
You think it was like I did like that quote in the movie though when he says, we're gonna get back in this conversation. I cut Brando off, and you have to go to Mitch still, so I'm gonna stop and shut up.
okay. Mitch,
Yeah, go to
let's hear
Brando,
it.
you
Mitch.
no, let's
Oh,
finish
yeah,
your.
okay, yeah.
And plus, it's just like the concept of hide and seek works really well for the one bad card because if Grace did her job properly, she'd never know her life was in danger until she finally came out of hiding and saw a bunch of bloody puddles around the house.
Also, it's a good thing that Grace. It's kind of a good thing that I mean, it's great she survived, but if she did pull a card that wasn't hide and seek, got adopted into the family, then she would be at risk with the next person that gets married in. So
Mm-hmm.
she would have put her life at risk either way, which
Ooh,
is
that's a good point. Good
kind
way
of
to look at
interesting.
it.
Yeah.
All right, I'm pretty much done. We can go on to Mitch now.
Well, to your question on odds, I gotta just really quickly say, like we know, I mean, it's happened at least once, like a generation back.
Mhm.
So and how many marriages within the family, and how far out does the extended family go? So I imagine that's not really great odds. I mean, it's got to be 1 in 10, 20.
I was gonna say the mom said at one point that like in the last 20 years she only had to do this like once or twice.
Yeah,
So
that's still not great, man. It's not putting her in a good situation.
yeah.
I mean,
Uh,
when you're making deals with otherworldly demons of godlike power in a fictional
Satan.
universe, it's important to
Satan.
figure out what the statistical boundaries are in
Well,
your
sure.
agreement, right? Like,
Yeah.
are we using 2 decks of cards? Are there 3 decks?
Who
Who's
actually
writing
drew up
hide
the
and seek?
contract? Did they have someone oversee it? You
I
know,
did love that when the dad said you couldn't negotiate a better deal.
yeah. Like right off the bat, like for me, like I love the kind of retro strings and music, and of course, I always am gonna like get kind of like drawn to that. But it had like a almost classic horror film soundtrack. Like instead of, even though it's a more modern movie, having something, I don't know, that would have placed it, would have put it in, would have dated it more. So I kind of like that a lot. I went into this when I saw it last year, not not expecting the comedy elements, I think, which kind of seems to be the case around the table here. Like, I think we all kind of went into it not really knowing exactly. I hadn't seen the previews. I think it was available on HBO Max or something. I was like, oh, cool, let's watch a horror movie. And I watched it by myself and I laughed out loud so many times. I don't know if there's something wrong with me because I mean, laughing by yourself is not all that common anyway. But oh my God, we'll talk about kills later, I'm sure. But there are several of those, the maids or the nannies kills. Like the first one just kind of pops out of nowhere, and that already sets the stage. That then the next time, like it's this arrow through the face. Like it was really
Hey man, if
enjoyable
there's
while
something
still being
wrong with you
horrifying.
for laughing at that, there's something wrong with me too. So
Okay,
you're
good.
not you're
So
not
we're
going to
all
hell alone.
I want to make a couple of comments about this. First off, so that the audience knows, when Mitch says it was that time of year, so he thought he'd watch a horror movie, he means Christmas. Okay, I don't want
Yeah,
anybody to
I
get
mean,
confused about that.
yeah.
And then on the comedy, I'll say I mean 100% agree with you. I know, but the thing is, I know that other movies have, like, it's not that I haven't laughed in other scary movies, but this one was literally written as a comedy, somehow interwoven into these moments that are, you know, visually not particularly comedic at the first instance that they're starting to happen, and then you're laughing. I mean, that's impressive. I'm
Well,
with
what's
you.
done really well about it is the balance between the horror and the comedy. The comedy is a lot in the writing and the reactions, and like you guys touched on earlier, the family interactions and their dynamic is just ripe for comedy. But it's still got some tension. It's still got the horror. It's got some disgust. It's got the moment when she's climbing out of the goat pit with the hole in her hand and
Oh,
uses that to like
Oh.
Ooh,
grab
that
her.
nail.
cringe.
Yeah.
Holy crap. There's some horror
Cringe.
here. Yeah, absolutely.
I literally cheered when she knocked out the kid, though.
Oh, yeah,
I
me
was
too.
like,
Yeah.
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 Fuck you, Georgie.
Metal fucker.
Boom. I almost think this movie was actually written as a comedy, and then just the horror elements were layered over almost.
Yeah. I
Like,
mean, and can I just say, like, hooray for yay Satan getting back into movies again. Like, Satan has been out of movies for years. It's good to see him cast again, getting
It's
work
really
again.
true. Yeah.
he doesn't
Yeah.
get enough credit, in my opinion.
You know,
so.
like he was doing a lot of work in the 80s, a lot of great roles, a lot of great parts. And now to see him kind of brought back in was kind of a nice treat too.
I mean, look, he's given us the best music.
Are we talking about
he's
Robert
given us
Downey
the best
Jr.? Or are we talking
music
about
we're gonna
Satan?
get. So
both. But I mean, apparently they didn't make a good enough deal to get the grosses up on this one. I mean, still they would they like did 8 times their budget or whatever. It's still pretty solid, but yeah, it deserves more. And I'm really glad that we got a chance to watch it. So yeah, I had a blast. I can easily recommend this movie. In fact, I'm pretty sure that I was trying to get you to watch it when the first time I saw it. So I'm glad you came around. I'm glad we're doing this episode. Yeah. So
I'm totally
let's
buying this
see.
movie if iTunes puts it on sale for like $5.
Oh,
I'm recommending it to as many people that would be interested in watching it. Brooke and I had like a really a lot of fun watching it, cringing when
yeah.
she's like putting her I knew it everybody knew it, the whole audience knew it. You know that nail sticking up is gonna go through that bullet
Well, it was
hole in her
perfectly
hand.
foreshadowed. Yeah.
As soon as they showed it, I was like, oh shit.
When it happened, I couldn't get further away from the TV.
Now, you guys mentioned Charlie, you were the Freddy fan, right?
Yes.
I really like throughout the movie, the butler, I kept calling him Freddy because he scars his face and burns the side of his face. He's very like Freddy Krueger on that,
Yeah.
And then just the idea of this classic, it's almost a horror trope though, the whole family thing. Like it's like a little bit of Texas Chainsaw Massacre because there's this just demented old family, and I love the aunt, the great aunt. Dude, she was a badass. Natalie was just cheering for her the whole time we're watching this. She's like on her side.
I just have to point out the delicious writing choice of the fact that the family old battle axe got the weapon, an old battle axe.
Oh yeah.
Amazing.
Sure.
Amazing.
Her name's, I might say her last name wrong, but her name's Nikki Gudani. I want to say she plays Aunt Helen. She looked familiar to me the whole movie. I know maybe not everybody's going to get this reference, but she was in like a horror movie in 1997 called Cube, and she was like the main chick in it, and she's super young. And
I know that one.
I really like Cube. It's kind of like a niche 90s horror movie, but it's really good, and I watched it a lot when I was a kid. And yeah, she's the main chick in that. So when I actually looked it up,
Nikki Guadagni.
Yeah.
Guadagni or Guadagni?
Yeah. And when I saw that she was the younger chick in that, I was like, holy shit, it is her. And I got really excited about it. But yeah, anything else, Mitch?
No, man, I think that's my initial impressions, and I can't wait to kind of dig into some more. So on that note, this might be a really great time to take a quick break, station identification, and we'll catch them on the flip.
Do you want more and amazing and awesome content just like this? Great shows with fun hosts? Do you want to indulge in some great discussion and rumination on a variety of topics? Join us at ruminationsradionetwork.com, the newest home to a diverse cast of podcasters and masterminds.
All right, guys.
Thanks.
So let's just jump into the next thing here. Sorry.
Welcome back.
Now that I'm looking at you again, I'm just your face was so
With
excited.
a face that says, "I've got to pee right now."
Whew, okay. All right, guys. This movie had a lot of kills in it.
Yeah.
A lot of deaths, a lot of violence. What's your guys' favorite kill? I'll start actually. My favorite kill is probably when Grace beats the mom to death with the cursed box towards the end of the movie,
Good one.
because it was just like, it was off screen, but I just felt the passion, like everything that led up to that point in the movie, and she was just done. And the shot of her mangled, beat up face in between, like, her going to town on the face and also talking to her, talking to the fuck is his name?
Alex.
I'm sorry. Yeah, talking to Alex. Like the visual, like the makeup and everything just looked awesome. And I also like when Alex picks up the box. I think it's Alex that picks the box up, but when one of them picks the box back up and like just her hair is still stuck to the box, and like it was just like super gross, super cool. I just
Gory.
really,
More gore
really
than
felt that.
expected.
Yeah, really felt that kill. And so yeah, that's probably mine. What about you, Mitch?
Uh, I mean, I got to go with my gut, like immediate instinct. I think my favorite kill was the crossbow, because they're kind of like fighting over it a little bit, or like tangent. Oh, why do we have to get cross? And then just it goes off, and her reaction. Why is it always got to be me? It's just like all about her. This crazy coke fiend.
100%. I love the crossbow gag.
That's mine
There's
too.
a
Yep.
there's a rom-com
Get to know
called
you
The
and your
5-Year
crossbow.
Engagement. Yeah, that whole thing was so funny. Get to know your crossbow was great. Am I supposed to know how to use this thing? Like the whole thing was, yeah, I'm with you, Mitch. The crossbow was funny.
When he looks up the YouTube video of the crossbow tutorial, the two guys that are in that video are actually the writers on the movie too, which is
Oh,
just
really?
a fun
Oh,
fact.
damn.
Yeah, but yeah, that scene was hilarious. He's just sitting on the toilet, just like, why do I get the oldest fucking weapon here? Like, it's so funny.
Pacts with the devil, real or bullshit?
Oh,
Yeah,
that
dude,
was great.
That's one of my favorite. Like, just little. It's so quick, but it's so good. It's
Yeah,
so
It's
good.
so good.
And yeah, my girlfriend Dom, she laughed like, there's very few things that get her to like a really high pitched laugh, and that was one of the scenes that got her to like a really high pitched laugh. It was
My
awesome.
wife did the same thing. Like, I mean, I thought it was funny, but she died when she
Yeah.
saw that. That cracked her up.
Yeah.
More devil.
What's just your overall like favorite scene in the movie
Mitch?
for any reason in particular?
Well, Brando, did we hear Brando's favorite kill?
Oh, it's the crossbow scene, hands
You
down.
guys all
Oh,
agreed
it's
on the
also the
crossbow.
We're
Yeah.
all with the crossbow?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Favorite scene. Again, knee-jerk reaction. I like her hiding out in the barn, and then her just immediate assumption that the little kid was going to be on her side or in some way innocent in all this. Like that turnaround, that shock. Like you can kind of see it coming because you know this family, you know what's going on, and then just blows a hole in her hand, and she just like takes just like no bullshit, clock the kid in the face. Although myself, I would have picked the kid up and thrown him in the goat pit or beat him with the shovel, but I'm not
At
going to
least
leave
give
him
him a
behind
good
to
kick
like
in the
tattle
stomach
on
when
me.
he's on the ground, you know? He
Yeah,
did
something.
just shoot you in the hand.
So yeah, I mean, my not being a big fan of little kids probably feeds into that being my favorite scene a little bit too. But I think that's probably my favorite.
Yeah, it's a great scene. I kind of knew it was going to happen just because in the very beginning of the movie, when Aunt Helen was young, like her husband ran into Alex, I think.
Yeah,
And the same thing happened. So that was cool. It might have been Daniel, but it was one of the kids. And yeah, my runner up to favorite scene is actually that kid getting punched in the face. I just want to say. So when that happened, I literally raised my hands in the air and I was like, yes.
It was a great. I mean, yeah, it's what everybody thought and wouldn't say out loud. And then you see it happen.
Just like punch that motherfucker in the
Punch
face.
that little piece of shit. She did.
Just punch him in the goddamn face.
I love that he woke up with a black eye too.
Yeah.
That was the best.
Yeah, that was so good. What about you, Brando?
My favorite scene was actually the end, the delay on the explosions. For just a moment, they think it's all bullshit, and then
yeah, that was an insane ending.
And just-
I actually
just
didn't think
Describe
was
that
happening.
scene, Brando. Describe that scene for people who haven't, in detail. I want to hear you describe the
Well, I mean,
pop
we're
you just
jumping all
made.
Yeah,
around here, so
we might as well. No, that's fine. We might as well talk about the ending now since it's your favorite scene.
well, let me
So just go into it.
and then I'd say my runner-up scene
Oh,
is
okay.
when Grace gets out of the goat pit and starts running across the yard, and then Charity sees her with, I think, a crossbow, acts real
Oh,
confident.
yeah.
Oh, I got you now, bitch, and then just misses wildly. I just thought that was pretty damn funny.
I assumed for some reason at that part, because wasn't she holding like a rifle type gun?
She was holding something. It
I
just didn't make a boom.
I think she assumed it was gonna be like a gunshot, a rifle, and it shot like a tranquilizer dart or like a arrow or something.
I don't know, but it went Minnesota Vikings wide left.
Triple C, what about you?
My favorite scene is right at the end, but I don't feel like I can talk about why until we're talking about what I think that movie was about. If I had to take away what the director was trying to say, and I mean, again, I might be taking away too much from it. But,
Fuck rich people.
well, yeah, sure, of
Yeah,
course.
pretty much.
But no, but
I mean, that line's in there.
the favorite scene is when he is telling her to put on her shoes, and she's putting on the Converse, and she's still freaking out because she's realizing what the hell's going on, and that life and death is at hand. And he sort of like leans back and in this really matter-of-fact way goes, I mean, you wanted to get married.
Yeah, I was like,
And-
whoa.
Yeah, I put that in my notes. What a
I
fucking
was like,
asshole.
whoa.
I mean, that to me, and of course I was sitting right next to my wife. And so her reaction was like right there with Grace's, because I looked right at my
Yeah.
wife and I was like, you wanted to get married. I'm total. It was so funny. And it was just a great, fun moment. From that moment, I think the reason it's my favorite scene is because I knew I was in. Like the leading up to that, I was enjoying it. There was some good. I was still figuring it out. That scene, I knew I was in for a really good, fun time, because it was I mean, I guess it might be a perfect scene. I mean, it was funny. I immediately related to the characters. I mean, I was in. I mean, I was 100%.
Well, and her
sold
terror
at
is
that
very
moment.
real in that scene too. Like,
Yes.
it is funny, but she is doing a bang up job in that moment. Like,
That's what I'm
goddamn.
saying, right?
Yeah, can I
She's
just say this is the first
frazzled,
time
right?
I've ever seen her act. Period. I don't think I've ever. No, I take that back. I've seen her in other comedy horror movie called The Babysitter on Netflix, which wasn't
saw
bad,
that.
but her acting is awesome and genuine, and like I totally vibe with it. Like it seems so real. She's so great. I love her. But
She's
yeah,
got
go
a very distinct scream as far as like a scream
Mhm.
queen.
Oh, yeah.
yes,
Silent Girls, her scream is
yes.
guttural. Like, oh, it's great.
Fucking
She was
from
all
the
in.
bowels. Yeah.
I mean, like I describe the movie as kinetic, because she gets you to that place with her. In
Mhm.
that scene where she is literally just struggling to keep it together, and him, Alex, is just, he's calm and he's trying to explain, that's what made it so funny to me, was she's this ball of chaotic energy and fear, and in that moment he's like, well, you wanted to get married, this is sort of like, it's kind of your fault. I mean, just a little bit. I mean,
Yeah.
I
Victim
was
blaming.
in, man. That would be my favorite moment scene of the film. My overall scene is still the end with her and in the red, and right before the sort of police enter the frame, or the firemen enter the frame, like right at that moment of her walking down, sort of John Bender Breakfast Club style almost. It was that scene carried a lot of weight for me, and I'll definitely talk about it if we're gonna go to what did I get from it. But those two were awesome.
Her
I
maniacal
think
breakdown, laughter, and snorting when everybody started going pop was just perfection.
I even called it out too right before. I didn't call it that they were going to explode. I actually didn't think that was going to happen at all. But I called out. I was like, watch, it's all gonna be bullshit, obviously. And like right when it started, like right when the first one blew up, I was like, they really went there with this. Like that's what they're doing. I was like,
Yeah.
I was so blown away by it, but I loved it.
There was a moment where you thought, "Oh, so it's not," you're like you said, like, "Oh, it is all bullshit, and it
Yeah,
is the
yeah.
supernatural element is gone." And you could even maybe make an argument for just a split second that maybe there was something horribly, volatile in whatever they were poisoned with. Like, if you really
Mhm.
wanted to try and argue out the supernatural side of it, you could say, "Well, maybe something really went super wrong." But then there's that moment when you see Belial in the chair, and
Yeah.
you're like, "Oh,
I
shit,
love
yeah."
her reaction where she's like, she sees like the ghost flash, and I can't remember exactly what she says, but something on the lines of like, "Holy shit!" Like she's just like, "Oh yeah, it's real."
She just said,
But
Like,
he nods. He gives her a little nod,
yeah,
like, "Good game, well played." Yeah, it was
yeah,
really
Yeah,
good,
he gives
man.
her the pimp nod. He totally
Yeah,
yeah,
does.
definite pimp nod.
yeah.
She's great.
I love when she's like, "Did you kill?" She goes, "Did you kill them?" And he goes, "No, they'll just shit weird for a week."
Yeah.
I googled it.
I
They're
googled
just gonna
it.
shit weird for a week. Yeah, all that awesome. I think my favorite scene is when Stevens captures Grace, and Grace is in the backseat of the car. And this kind of hit with me, kind of like what you were saying, Triple
"He
C.
just
Like
put her in the trunk."
well, yeah, I was already
It's all
in
his fault.
before this, but just this whole scene kind of like was what the movie and the whole thing was going for to me was just when they were watching, like the whole family's huddled together watching him on camera, and like they're like, turn your music down, she's right fucking behind you, turn your music down. And like he's just going at it, and then like every time he hits him and like bangs his head against the steering wheel, like it just cuts back to the family, and they're all just like ooh, and like reacting to like him getting hit. It was so like playful and so funny, and like
And
it
so
just
real, right? The
So
yeah,
meta.
it seems like
yeah,
it's not. It's I don't want to say like some people would try to pull something like that off, and it would come off kitschy,
or like
right?
cheesy and
Or
like
cheesy,
Yeah.
right?
yeah,
And this one totally felt like in the moments leading up to where she's kind of coming to and starts kicking him, it it really felt like that guy was like, finally, I'm
yeah,
on the map. I did something good. I am balling. And look, the
My
thing
Christmas
is,
bonus.
you've been there, right? We've all kind of been at that moment where we're like, yeah, you turn up the music and you roll down your window and you're feeling alive. That's where that guy was. And then the car and that prop where they put
yeah,
him in
yeah.
and
So
they spin it around.
that's another reason, yeah. Like so that whole like I
I felt that.
second everything you just said. And then yeah, just the shot was cool. I'm a big fan of that whole like scene where it's like the car's flipping upside down and the glass is going through and it's all in slow motion. It's just shot really cool. And honestly, like just the whole I mean, I'll get into that later, but that's probably my favorite scene. And if I had to say, so if we're just gonna say the bitch of the movie, if we're all gonna pick our bitch of the movie, I would have to say it's Stevens, the caretaker, just because he lets her go so many times, and like he's just so he's I don't know. And then just that scene just kind of justified the whole thing that like he was such a bitch. He couldn't get it done, and like he was just so over
Couldn't
his
bring it
head,
home.
and he couldn't bring it home, man. And it was I don't know, it was so good to me. But yeah, that's probably my favorite
She's
scene.
trying to escape. How do you not put her in the trunk? She's gonna die anyways. Who cares if she gets a little more banged up?
And
Ah.
Damn it,
also,
Stevens.
how did they report the car stolen so quick?
They're
Like
rich.
he like literally gets knocked out, and then she takes the car, and then she calls the guy, which is a funny interaction
Justin.
between
That's a great
Yeah.
interaction.
him and the customer service representative. Fuck you, Justin.
Yeah. I love Justin's like, Mel, do you really have to
Justin's
use foul
polite.
language?
Vulgarity is not necessary.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, they're OnStar, their version of OnStar in this movie. And look, the thing is that every character is somebody, there's a real piece of humanity. They're very flesh and bone characters. Even the moment of her getting to the road and the car slows down for a second and she's like, help me, and they're like, get out of the road, lady, and they take off.
And her
And then
question is everyone's
Look,
question.
maybe that driver had just seen a lot of horror movies himself or herself, and just Look
But
pretty.
that's what everybody would do. Is my point, right? Everybody knows they've seen somebody hitchhiking, and we're like, nope, kept driving.
Yeah, so all great scenes, amazing. I love it all. The cast is great. Is there anything you guys want to touch on before we get into like our final thoughts and our percentage out of 100 rating?
I
Biggest
want to
bitch is
ask you
definitely
guys.
Charity.
What's that, Brando?
Biggest bitch is by far Charity, Daniel's wife.
Charity? Okay, yeah. Yeah?
Yeah,
Why?
she
I mean, I know why,
was
but
a massive piece
why?
of shit that was totally okay with what she got herself into, and in order just to stay alive and rich, she shot her husband in the neck. Bitch.
Mitch, what about you? Your bitch of the movie.
I guess there's different definitions of bitch of the flick.
Yeah, I'm going
Um,
traditional definition.
Going traditional. Mine would be crossbow guy. Like
Fitch.
Bitch.
Bitch. Don't be a bitch,
Yeah.
bitch. Don't be a bitch, bitch.
Yeah.
He's like psyching himself up in the bathroom.
Yeah. I mean, very, very comical, and I enjoyed the character and well written and stuff. But no, you got to go.
What about you, Triple C?
You know what? I have to say, I have said about a lot of characters. I didn't realize this 20 years ago, but when I get to a place where I really hate a character, like I really hate the character, that's a great actor.
Oh yeah.
And biggest bitch for me is Alex. Okay, played by Mark O'Brien.
Mhm.
Incredible acting, and I'm telling you, at the end, what a sellout!
Yeah.
What a sellout!
Mhm.
When
You won't be with me after this, will you? No fucking
Well, and
shit.
I guess if I were smarter, or maybe if I'd seen more horror movies, I would have seen that. I guess twist coming, but the fact that the end when he's realizing it's maybe motivated by what his aunt said, that he didn't see that he was the one that was supposed to lead, kind of thing. I that's the biggest bitch to me. And man, I was so angry at that guy. So seeing him pop like a water balloon just hit a needle was pretty great.
Yeah,
was my
I would
biggest
have to say he was probably, in my eyes, the most traditional piece of shit in the movie.
Yeah.
Definitely. Definitely.
Sold out. He was a sellout, man.
I'm glad she got to chuck the
100%.
ring back at him before he popped.
Yeah, just one last
I want a
like
divorce.
fuck you.
Dumb one.
Yeah.
You. I want a divorce.
Do you think that was because of that? Like, do you think if she wouldn't have flicked the ring, that he would have stayed alive?
That
No.
crossed my mind, but I don't know.
In
Like
this
maybe
movie,
she owns the curse now.
Yeah,
movie
and
lore, you don't actually become part of the family until you're done playing the game. And well, she won the game. She wasn't a part of the family, so it was.
Well, she was married.
yeah.
Well, yeah.
But she asked for a divorce, so it's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
and flame guy in the chair granted her one.
Yeah.
Yeah, on fire Captain Morgan made it happen.
Plus, I gotta imagine that she stands to inherit all that because she's not going to be in trouble. Because if the police are like, why are all these people dead? Why are they on little
How do
bits?
you explain that to the cops? That was the last note I have. How do
Because
you?
there's plenty of pentagrams, there's plenty of devil worshipping shit that she can, point to. There's
the
a
bodies in the goat pit, man.
yeah, the goat pin. She's like, I fought my way through hell. Like I'm good.
You know,
How does she
what?
prove
You
she's not
know,
involved though?
Daniel and
She
Becky
just got married.
had their bodies explode out because they were already dead. So that makes sense. Yeah.
Wait, say that again?
And plus, I mean, Becky the mom and Daniel the brother were already dead before bodies went pop, so
Oh yeah.
their bodies might actually still be there as evidence. Very interesting.
And remember, they had taken the maids and stuff and thrown them in the goat pit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's in the
Yeah.
clear.
Which again, great magic trick when they pulled that maid's head up with the bolt through the mouth and it's a severed head. You think about this sentence, man, that severed head made me laugh.
Yeah.
Because it did in the moment. It really did.
Horror is a great genre, folks.
Yes.
Horror is a great genre.
To be fair, Traffic
right.
did the talking severed head thing very well, as also.
Yeah. So here on Ruminations of Redrum, we have our official Redrum score of the movie. At the end of, I haven't even picked a specific time frame, but we like to rank our movies. So since you guys are guests, you guys get to now be included in the ranking system and help put this one on the list, on the map, if you will. So final notes, we'll just kind of give our last thoughts on the movie and our out of 100% score. Then we'll average it out and give our official Redrum score. I'll go ahead and just start first.
Can I pose a premise?
Sure, go ahead. Yeah,
I would like to see what everybody thought the movie was saying. What do you think if there was a statement that movie was making, what is it? It could be a long description, but what did you take away from it? Or is it just a simple, fun movie?
Weird.
To me, it was just a simple, fun movie. Okay. I mean, I know like the undertones it was trying to present, but I take a lot of things at face value. That's just my opinion on it. But what did you guys think?
Pretty much for
yeah, no. Triple C, you got something to say?
Fun movie, not trying to make a point, but kind of deep down in there was sort of one. You can suss out for yourself if you want.
You got something, Triple C?
Do you want us to give our scores right now, or are you going to come back to us around that later?
So we'll just
final thoughts and score.
Yeah, we'll do final thoughts and score after what you propose. So, okay, if you have any thoughts on what it meant to you.
All right, so I and that last scene that I was referencing earlier, at the end, she is walking out of a very expensive home that's burning, and she's covered in a white wedding dress stained in blood, ripped from the bottom up to be sort of a mid calf level, sort of ripped up shredded skirt, and wearing her blood soaked Converse, which were, I think, leopard print, and right about to smoke a cigarette. To me, it was a cool way to represent the loss of innocence in a way, and not just innocence in terms of like, I've seen death, but more like about the way that family was represented, the wealth, the riches, power corrupting, money corrupting, and here's this person who doesn't have any of that, right, and is really worried about being seen as just pursuing that, right, and comes away from it uncorrupted. And all the way up to Alex, where you believe that love is going to overcome that for that person, and it makes us, to me, it was making that statement that, and even that comment that he made about how many goats he had to sacrifice, when he makes the statement, I guess when your family's doing it, anything can seem or feel normal.
Yeah,
and that's what freaked him out, that it felt normal. I felt like that was a real statement about like class, because they were really making a point of her being not the same. They never said that she was poor, but they always refer to them as being rich, and rich people are just different. That was another quote I kind of stuck to. And I mean, and then with the whole thing being about sacrifice and sacrifice to the devil, hail Satan, I felt like it was you'd sell your soul to the devil for money, power, and riches, as represented by the sister, or the married in, that shot her husband in the neck, where she's like, I'm not going back, I'm not giving all this up, you have no idea where I came from. It was really cool to me, because it felt like these are a bunch of people that I'm related to, like, how they feel about those particular things and aspirations. And that's what I thought the comedy was. Especially, all of them represented that. Like the guy YouTubing about his crossbow, and packed with the devil, real or bullshit. Like these are, for me, felt like it was a big statement about, Grace is this grassroots sort of innocent person, and by the end she comes out the only survivor. And that white, there's not one speck of white on that dress that's visible. Not one little tiny spot at all. So yeah, that's what I took away from it. That's why that last scene sort of, I was ready to throw roses and clap and yell bravo.
Very well said. No, that's cool. And yeah, I think I mean, it really comes down to like just how that entire family was sin, and you are going to go through temptations, and you're going to have like everybody was tempted to be in that family for a reason. Everybody had their motivations. Um, but at the end of the day, like you said, Grace, none of that mattered to her, and she was able to, I mean, triumph over this sin and not be corrupted, even though she did do some pretty terrible things. But at the end of the day, it just, yeah, no,
Well,
I
and
second that.
you knew,
So
like, I really felt like we were on that ride with her. My favorite,
yeah,
like, another great moment was when she loads that elephant cannon with the prop bullet and, pulls the trigger, and nothing happens, of course, but that's the moment where you realize she's ready to kill for just to make it through and survive. And I enjoyed the hell out of this movie. If I had to give it a percentage rating, I'm gonna
whoa, whoa, whoa,
say
whoa, 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 whoa.
I'll hold
Actually,
off.
actually, you know what? No, actually, just go ahead.
Don't let me change shit. I'm a big mouth. Go on with
No,
it.
no, no, because that's actually a good spot to kind of transition into your rating.
I
I mean,
wanted to interject there about a very similar topic. I thought a missed item of comic relief would have been her actually getting a shot off on that goddamn elephant rifle, just to see how poorly it would have went for her. She think
Right, how she would have knocked herself into the countertop. I absolutely
Yeah.
thought the same thing.
she would have gotten thrown across the room. Yeah, yeah.
I love that scene.
I just, she misses the butler wildly, gets tossed
Her
against the
dead
wall.
needle ender moment. Is that what you wanted? Her Three Amigos moment?
Exactly.
So Triple C, what is
When
your
I saw
rating?
her put that cartridge in, it's like, oh wow, that's something you use to murder an F-150, not a person.
That's true. It's an elephant cannon. Yeah. Yeah, percentage for me, I'm gonna give it a 91. And
Whoa.
I am gonna give it a 91. But look, I enjoyed it. I just got a lot of pleasure. For me, it was an A minus.
Okay, okay, awesome. Brando, final thoughts and rating.
I think it could have been better marketed, but no, I mean, I'm glad I finally got around to watching it and had a reason to watch it. I I just had an incredible amount of fun with that movie. I really, really enjoyed almost every aspect of it. I'm going to give it a 90%.
92 in the 90s.
Dang,
All
look at
right.
these guys dropping
All
these
right.
90s.
Dropping like it's hot. Mitch.
I think this movie was trying to say something simple, which Triple C, I'm sorry, I have to disagree with you. Have to counter your statement about the cons. They were actually just yellow chucks.
I'll co-sign that.
But
They were yellow.
I guess it
I
was
think
the blood that made him look leopard print.
the message here is winners wear chucks, and I think that I think that that's something you can take to the
100%
bank.
agree.
They absolutely could market that. I think they need to maybe look into it because there's money to be made. And I'm sorry, I'm going to pull the final rating down a little bit, but I want you to understand that I loved this movie. I thought it was a blast. Maybe love might be too strong then. It's great. I bought it. I watched it. I watched it again. It will probably become a part of my regular rotation, but I'm gonna have to go with my gut. As much as I like this movie, and as much as Harley Quinn's Samara Weaving, her performance it was just everything I would want for what it is, and I'm gonna give it an 83. 83%. It's not something I'm gonna get tattooed on my body. I wouldn't get a shirt of it necessarily, but I can highly recommend it. Give it full stamp of approval. But that's still just an 83 to me. I don't like the A minus Charlie dropped because now that makes me feel like it's not an A because it's an A, but it's an 83%. Does that make sense? No? Okay.
I just liked it more highlier, to use the King's English.
Oh,
No, but
my.
I will say, the thing about the Chucks is I think that's a cinema trope that I love. It's always the rebel and the hero and the guy that you're supposed to root for in a way. It's the red cape in a way in a lot of movies. And yeah, I have a collection of Chucks. I love the whole messaging there.
I had a good feeling about this movie. I I never saw it when it came out. It was always on my radar, but for some reason I never watched it. I don't know why. But it's one that always escaped me, and I was always interested in coming back to it. And so I bought it prior to even watching it, just because I wanted to buy it for the podcast, and it's a horror movie, and I've heard good things, and I just had a good feeling that it was gonna be good and entertaining. And I don't do that. I don't buy the movie I'm going to do a cast on for every episode, but I just had a good feeling about this one, so I bought it. That being said, I'm glad I bought it. I'm glad it's in my collection. I'm glad it's on my bookshelf along, The Invisible Mans and Dawn of the Deads and all those other movies. I think it has a place. I think that for the pedigree of the directors that they have, coming from such low budget films and jumping to this as like their first, I would say big, big budget film. I thought it was awesome. I thought it was executed well. I'm excited for their Scream movie because Scream is really important to me, and I think these guys have that vibe down. I think the blend of horror and comedy in this was awesome. It wasn't like hit you over the head with it. It was it was done in a way that was clever and it was cool. I enjoyed it. I do think I didn't love it, but I do like it a lot, and I kind of mirror Mitch's stance on it a little bit. And it's crazy how close we are in rating, because I actually give it an 82%. I thought it was. I don't consider low 80s a B minus. I know that's the structure of the comedy.
Yeah, me too. I'm with you.
But 80 to 89 is a B to me, and I think it's a B movie. And I think the key takeaway things from this movie, I mean, there were some great shots and all that kind of stuff. The cinematography is cool. I really like the way they played with the audience. I love the dynamics between the characters and the relationships, and they felt all so real. And I think that's what I like most about the movie. It's not even the horror elements, it's the relationships between the characters that made this movie for me. And the horror topping was just an extra. It was just the cherry on top. So I would give it an 82%.
I feel like I should defend my 91 now.
No, you've defended it. You've defended it.
Own that shit.
Own it, yeah, own it.
No, I'm just kidding.
So that
Don't be a bitch, bitch. Own it.
Own it.
I'm trying to get to know my crossbow.
So I'm not going to put in the 0.5s and all that kind of bullshit. We're just going to do the rating it was. And this movie gets a Ruminations, a Redrum rating of 86%.
Yeah. I think that's a good, fair score.
Let's hear it. I think it's a fair score as well. I think that's a good, fair number, honestly.
You said something about Scream, and I wanted to say Scream is one of those movies that when it comes on, I'll rewatch it. Like, even if I catch it at any point, I'll rewatch it. It's fun. It always is just fun to watch. I feel like this is that same kind of thing. It delivered an experience, and part of what I was so impressed with was that I had a lot of fun watching it. I will watch it again.
Hopefully this whole COVID situation is figured out by the time Scream comes out, because then we can all go together to see it.
That would be dope.
That'd be cool.
Dope.
But this has been another episode of Ruminations of Redrum. I'm your host, Kyle, with a K.
Are there any Kyles with a C?
We don't talk about them.
Okay.
We have Mitch.
Thank you.
Brando.
Hail Satan.
Hail Satan, indeed.
And Triple C.
Hi, and hail me.
Hail him. Stay spooky, folks. Man, you know what I could really go for right now? A break.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Oh my god, that was so funny. funny.
Yeah.
Oh, Mitch. It takes her on the back on that one. You fucking.
What? You didn't like lob anything up to me, man. You just like,
we didn't count it off or anything.
His face was so excited. Yeah.
well, because I'm really excited. I gotta go piss.
Oh, okay.